You know, the other week, I was stunned, agog and aghast, when they announced at Star Wars Celebration that they're going to be making new Star Wars movie with Rey, being portrayed, of course, by Daisy Ridley. Daisy Ridley, who I think is a terrific actress. But I have never believed for a moment that they would go back and make more movies with that character, because her character and a few others kind of represent a very, very divisive time in the world of Star Wars fandom. And to go back to that, I thought listen, I never would have thought, I would have bet $100 that they wouldn't do it. And they did. So I was caught shocked by that whole thing. Well, now there's reports going around that John Boyega may actually be in talks to come back for this Rey movie. Now, from a narrative script point of view, this would not be the biggest stretch. I mean, clearly, right from the Force Awakens movie, John Boyega's character and Daisy Ridley's character have a connection, right? They hinted it may go romantic. They never really did. They hinted it could be a Force connection sort of thing. They never really went anywhere with that. Well, at least not too much. But still, if any character is going to come back, it would make sense that it would be that one. Now, while I believe that the reports out there are coming from sources, that they have sources telling them that, I do not believe the sources at all. I don't believe the story at all. Now, as I say that, keep in mind that I would not have believed at all that they were going to do another Star Wars movie with Rey, right? I never would have believed that either. And yet here we are. So take that with a grain of salt. I just don't believe this would ever happen for two reasons that really come down to the one thing: burned bridges. Man, I mean, John Boyega did not enjoy his experience making Star Wars and did not decide to be subtle about it and really burned bridges on his way out. In a recent interview with Variety, or at least in a recent article in Variety, this just goes back just a few weeks ago, actually. John Boyega has already aired his grievances about Disney's fumbling of diversity in his Star Wars trilogy. By the way, Disney cannot win when it comes to Star Wars. They've got a bunch of people yelling, "You're so woke, don't put in black people or women or gay people." And they saying they're nothing but woke. And then they got people on the other side of them screaming at them that they're not doing enough when it comes to diversity. They're kind of in the crossfire here. At any rate, John Boyega has already aired his grievances about Disney fumbling diversity in his Star Wars trilogy, notably telling GQ magazine back in 2020, "What I would say to Disney is do not bring out a black character, market them to be much more important in the franchise than they are, and then have them pushed to the side. It's not good. I'll say it, or I'll say it straight up. You guys knew what to do with Daisy Ridley. You knew what to do with Adam Driver." By the way, I remember when John Boyega said that. I don't know what movies John Boyega was watching, because they clearly didn't have the fucking clue what they were doing with Daisy Ridley or with Adam Driver. They had no idea what to do with either of those characters if you watched The Rise of Skywalker, at any rate. You guys knew what to do with Daisy Ridley. You knew what to do with Adam Driver, Boyega continued at the time. But when it came to Kelly Marie Tran, when it came to John Boyega, fuck all. So what do you want me to say? What they want you to say is, "I enjoyed being a part of it. It was a great experience." Nah. I'll take that deal when it's a great experience. They gave all the nuance to Adam Driver. There was no nuance to that character. I think John Boyega is giving them way too much credit. All the nuance to Daisy Ridley. Nah. Let's be honest. Daisy knows this. Adam knows this. Everybody knows this. I'm not exposing anything. Now, you might be wanting to say then, yeah, but that was back in 2020. But this is a recent interview where he said this: Boyega isn't interested in revisiting the topic. Telling Total Film Magazine in a new interview, "I said what I said on it, and it doesn't change overnight. We handled that years ago. There's no point in recycling the same story that's been 2 years. That's been for 2 years." I mean, so basically, Boyega decided to give the middle finger and recently said, "I don't take it back." I mean, that's basically it, because I haven't changed my thought process on this at all or in any way, shape, or form. Now, again, what I would say to Boyega, who is a terrific actor, What I would say to Boyega is, listen, man, if you watch those, look, I've said this all along. The big undoing of the Star Wars sequels was I thought it started strong. I thought the Star Wars sequels sequels. They started strong. I thought The Force Awakens was wonderful. I love that movie. But how we ended up at the dumpster fire of The Rise of Skywalker, all due respect to people who like that movie. If you like it, that's great. I'm not trying to undermine how you felt about it. I'm just telling you how I felt about it. How we end up at the dumpster fire of The Last Jedi was the fact, or The Rise of Skywalker was the fact that there was no plan. There was no plan. They winged it until they burned. And that's why when Boyega says, well, they clearly had nuance and they knew what they were doing with this character and this character. And I'm like, what movies were you watching? Please point them to me because I'd love to watch those movies you're referring to. I didn't see those movies myself. I saw a movie where they didn't know what to do with Poe. They didn't know what to do with Finn. They didn't know what to do with Daisy. So much so at the end of, she's Palpatine's granddaughter. How the hell does that make sense? Well, midichlorians.
Just somehow.
Somehow.
I mean, he's really good. This is JJ. He's really good at the mystery box thing. But then once
you got to open it.
Once you open it, it's like, oh.
The same thing happened with Lost, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lost, the whole movie, the whole series, I should say, was a fabulous mystery box. And then once they opened the mystery box, it's like, really?
Yeah.
That's what we were here for?
See, this is why Quentin always kept it a mystery of what was in the briefcase in Pulp Fiction. Because you would have just been like,
Yeah, it's like, that's not such a big deal. But I don't know, Chris, listen, we heard what Boyega said 2 years ago. We've heard what he's saying now. Could you see either Disney wanting him to come back or Boyega having any interest in coming back here? Could these reports actually be something? What do you think?
I mean, from a narrative standpoint, if we are going to have a Rey-focused film, I can understand why they want Finn back in the mix, right? They were in these films together. They were buddies. Like, that makes sense to want to have him there. However, he got burnt, and he was a huge Star Wars fan, a massive fan who loved the Star Wars franchise so much. And I think his treatment, his reception, etc., just, made him not enjoy all of this at all. He said in an interview on Sirius XM too, on Tell Me Everything with John Fugelsang, is that who it is? Yeah, John Fugelsang, that what he plans to do for himself now is focus on versatility. That is the key to him moving forward in his acting. Because he talked about been there, done that. I'm over it and I'm off with it and I don't need it again. I want to be like some of my, mentors. I want to be like Viola Davis, and I want to really focus on diversifying my portfolio, essentially. I want to add versatility to this. I don't want to keep doing the same things. So I feel like he's really working on that. We've seen him doing these more kind of prestige level films too, showing that he is going to be an actor, in my opinion, that is on an Academy level. I think he is so talented. All of that being said, you give a Star Wars fan a buttload of money and finally follow through on that promise that he is Force sensitive and let Finn have some time being a proper Jedi, I think that could sway the argument of him joining again. So they're going to have to really entice him with an incredible script for him to have a changing of tune here. But I don't think that's going to happen.
You know what's really unfortunate about how great Viola Davis was in The Woman King? Nobody talks about John Boyega.
No.
You would almost be forgiven if you didn't even know John Boyega was in it. He was great in
He's
that.
phenomenal
He's so good in that.
But it's like anyone acting against Viola Davis. You're just so enamored with everything she's doing that it's just like, yeah, and everything else was great because you're so focused on
yeah,
it.
as good as Matt Damon was in Air. Any of the scenes where he's with Michael Jordan's mom, who's played by you're just looking at her. You're not looking at him.
She's incredible.
But you know what else that reminds me of? We've talked about this before. It reminds me of like John. And I'm not saying that The Woman King and the performances in it were necessarily on the same level as There Will Be Blood, but one of the big unfortunate things about There Will Be Blood is you had Paul Dano.
Oh yeah.
Who gave a legendary performance in that movie.
He's going toe-to-toe with Daniel Day-Lewis.
But nobody talks about Paul Dano in that because Daniel Day-Lewis gave what I think is the greatest actor performance in any movie ever. Yeah. So nobody talks about him. And now I'm not saying it's an apple-to-apple comparison, but it's like everybody talked about Viola Davis, and rightfully so. But like Lashana Lynch was fantastic in that movie. John Boyega was fantastic in that movie. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? There are reports going around that John Boyega may come back for the new Star Wars film. Listen, damn stranger things have happened. We live in a world where Jamie Foxx came back to play Electro again. So anything can happen. But I don't know. I just have a hard time buying it. What do you guys think about it? Do you think it could actually happen? Why would you like to see it? Why not? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, BetterHelp. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and changing. Think about it. The person you were 5 years ago is not the exact person that you are today. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way that we do until we talk things through. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. And guys, striving for better mental health is something we should all aspire to. I've talked about this before, but when somebody goes to the gym, we applaud them for getting out there to improve their physical health. Well, it's about time that we start looking at mental health the same way, not just by encouraging the people around us to look into therapy, but by also taking the step to take care of our own mental health as well. So listen, if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a short questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. So discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Campea today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea.